Thank you, Mr Speaker. Today, we grieve with the families of those murdered at Bondi Beach. We stand with those still fighting to recover from their injuries, and we state clearly and unequivocally antisemitism and terrorism have no place in Australia. Just over a month ago, on the first night of Hanukkah, a festival of light, resilience and hope, our nation was shaken by an act of antisemitic terror at Bondi Beach. 15 innocent people were murdered. Among them were Adam Smythe, 10-year-old Matilda, Boris Tetleroyd, Boris and Sofia Gurman, Reuvan Morrison, Edith Brutman, Marika Pogany, Dan Elkayam, Eli Schlanger, Yaakov Levitan, Peter Meagher, Alex Kleytman, Tibor Weitzen and Tania Tretiak. Each name represents a life cut short, a family devastated, a community grieving. In the days that followed the attack, our community came together because Bondi and Manly and Warringah are beautiful, iconic Sydney beaches, and the communities surrounding them share a similar way of life and values. After the attack, my electorate expressed its deep solidarity with the people of Bondi and the Jewish community. A condolence book was organised by constituent Rodin Genoff outside of St Matthew's Church in Manly and later presented to the Jewish community. And on 21 December, the community came together again for a vigil on Manly Beach, standing in unity to honour the victims, support the injured and affirm that hatred will not define us. This vigil was organised by Northern Beach's local Paul Casper, and I thank him. I attended a very moving memorial also, the ceremony at Bondi, held by the National Council of Jewish Women Australia, alongside the Governor-General, fellow parliamentarians, community leaders and women from many backgrounds. And I want to acknowledge the work and incredible support of Linda Ben-Menashe and the National Council of Jewish Women Australia for their leadership and care in bringing people together at a time of deep grief, and their advocacy for an Australian society that is safe, equitable and inclusive for all women and girls. I'd also like to acknowledge Rabbi Mendel from the Cremorne Synagogue, who has been a steady and compassionate presence for our community, and who spoke to me about the importance of continuing to support those still in hospital and recovering, their families. Because in addition to those killed, dozens more were injured and 42 people were taken to hospital across Sydney. And these victims have not only physical wounds but deep psychological trauma. So while this condolences motion has focused heavily on those who paid the greatest price, the greatest sacrifice, we must keep present in our minds all those that are continuing to live with the trauma and the consequences of very severe injuries. I've spoken to members of the Jewish community and have heard heartbreaking stories of deeply traumatised witnesses, including children who cannot sleep at night and who keep reliving the moment of horror in their heads, parents who are stuck with how do they help their children. This event has devastated families and shaken the confidence of Australians, especially Jewish Australians, to gather in public spaces and practice their religion freely and safely. The rise of antisemitism in recent years has led many Australians in the Jewish community to feel unsafe. It's common for Jewish Australians to report feelings of fear and insecurity when simply going about their daily life, such as dropping children off at school in the morning or attending public events. I've attended previous Hanukkah events and other Jewish events at the Cremorne Synagogue on a number of occasions, and it's impossible not to notice the intense security presence outside. And we must ask ourselves as Australians, when did this become normal in a multicultural, multi-faith society like ours? If we allow anti-Semitism to grow unchecked, we fail not only Jewish Australians, but we fail all of our democratic values that define us as a nation. If we are serious about standing with Jewish Australians, we must make sure our commitment extends beyond words. We must include long-term support for survivors, for families who are grieving, and frontline healthcare workers who continue this care every day. I want to acknowledge the incredible courage of so many on that horrible day and continuing. those that were injured, and so many through their courage, in particular probationary constable Jack Hibbert, just 22-year-olds. Finally, I would like to ask everybody in the Jewish tradition, there's a big call for a mitzvah, an act of responsibility, an act of kindness. There's a campaign for everyone to do one mitzvah. I've been asked by Rabbi Mendel to remind all members of the House to keep urging so many members in our communities to collectively do these acts. They are powerful. It is checking on a neighbour, volunteering, supporting survivors, standing visibly against hate. It's if we all stand together and be visible, that we can actually make a difference and make sure that Jewish Australians, like all Australians, feel safe in Australia.